Okay, this is the start of my playtest for the game ScribeRPG. I already lowered my audio just a tiny bit, just so my speech would be more audible, but otherwise the default volume is pretty well balanced. It wasn't too loud for me. It was just for the sake of the microphone being clear. We have some basic settings. The game settings are mainly showing hints. Display settings, there's only your resolution or full screen. A minor nitpick, when I first opened this up, everything was enabled, but that means everything was filled in with these white squares, and for me, that didn't scream immediately obvious that, oh, that's filled in as on. I guess I would have wanted just one of them, some option that is just default off so you can immediately see the two options. That's a very minor thing though. That's because, you know, after clicking it a few times you do just work out that if it's black it's not enabled. But that's just a minor thing. And just because there's not a lot of options in here, so very minimal settings available, but given the graphics we're working with, I can understand there's not going to be that many options they necessarily need to include. Okay, we've got our controls that... Oh, okay, yep, they can be rebound. Okay, we've got WASD as our movement. Yeah, so it's mostly WASD, mouse clicks, and then numbers and like shift. With X doing drop down, I imagine that might be like the platforms, but I'll see when I actually get into the game. And about, yep, just credits and links to their socials. Yep, those all work. Lead me to ScribeRPG. So let's just start the game. Okay, so we're effectively trying to restore history or the knowledge of what's happened, as well Scriptorian is, but we're siding with him. Okay, straight onto the beach. Okay, interesting. So if there's a long bit of dialogue, you can hold left click to pause it and then let go to let it resume. I feel like I'd rather that just be click and then click again to let it resume. Because I can't even open my, because I can't open the menu during dialogue, so because in some games they often let you pause during the cutscene, so having to hold and release would be fine if I knew I could pause and, oh, I need to go to the toilet or whatever, or I need to go get the door. But because I have to hold and let go, once that cutscene starts, you feel a little bit trapped. I would rather have, because this is a system Final Fantasy XIV has, when they have their dialogue, you can click a button to pause it which will stop auto scrolling. At that point, it switches to manual, so you click every time you want to go. Or you can press the button again, and it goes back to autoplay. And then it will scroll for you. You don't have to click anymore. And that means when you know you're going to step away, you can stop it resuming with one button and leave. You don't need to keep holding it down. I don't know if that's... Is that my resolution? Because, so over here on the right side of my screen, that inspect is perfectly legible. It's well spaced. This save game, it's already quite squished. Those letters have no gaps between them, but you can still read it. But then this inspect ship, it's so merged together, the I in ship is almost completely gone. It's just a blob with the dot above it. And the capital I is, for some reason, much thicker than the one over here. Like, this inspect looks normal, but this I is almost twice the size. And that's not from the N eating into it, because the N looks normal. Let me try changing resolution. Okay, let me try a smaller resolution. No. Yeah, so resolution is not fixing that. Which makes me think then it's the way your text is scaling, or the size of the box is scaling. Something is wrong with the way this text is showing up. Okay, well, let's do the save game. Oh, there's no save slots, it just saves. Okay, that's... Okay, there's a lot of pop-ups to go through, but given that this is a very old school style game, I think it's good to have a pretty in-depth explanations available. Okay, exploration mode, mouse does everything basically. And right click just switches it to combat. I missed it. Oh yeah, there we go. X's drop down like I guessed for just going down a platform. Okay, I have to crouch in front of chest to open the loot. Okay. Okay, you can climb down or jump away. And you can make it swing. Let me double check. So, in theory, shooting should be number 2. Yeah, shooting is 2. So this is a consistency issue. So on the resistance bar, and this top right, the order is defined as melee, magic, shooting. But on the controls, melee is 1, shooting is 2, and magic is 3. Which means magic and shooting are oppositely ordered when it comes to displaying on the enemy's bar versus the control scheme. And while that seems like a small thing, that inconsistency is gonna make the controls feel worse, because if in the moment I forget, I should be able to look at an order and know that it matches, right? Or develop that sort of muscle memory that, okay, it's melee, magic, shooting, melee, magic, shooting. But the order for the default controls doesn't match. It goes melee, shooting, magic. That sort of ordering just should be kept consistent, especially if those 3 words are often clustered together. That order should not be changed around randomly. That should be consistent. Okay, I'm blocking. You can't block forever. Minutes. Stamina. And you need to plan which hold you use to use different amounts of stamina. Level up. Charisma doesn't exist in the demo, or rather it's not used in the demo, but yeah, it makes sense that there would be one. And then... yeah, so here again, we've got strength, agility, magic, which would be melee shooting magic, but like I said, on this page it says melee magic shooting. So again, the attributes now are saying that was what the order should be, and that matches the default controls. So either order is fine. I don't think there's a particular benefit one or the other. Just decide which one and keep it consistent every time all 3 of them are mentioned. Especially in your beginning tutorial information blocks. Those should definitely be consistent with each other. You don't want someone trying to learn information that is slightly different on every other page, because that's not going to help with the onboarding. Okay, crafting. You'll need a recipe and you put in all the resources. Makes sense. Oh, and actually if you have everything, you can just click on the recipe. That's nice. That sounds like good quality of life. Okay, basically make sure you inspect a lot of things. Makes sense. Manuscript is kind of the story journal. Okay, and it seems like there's a bit of a meta mini-game where you're trying to complete this book of knowledge, and you're piecing together facts. That sounds like a fun little inclusion, very fitting for this sort of scribe's quest to restore knowledge. Yep, that all makes sense. more skills or quests. Inventory, quest list. Okay, that makes sense. It would be nice to get a bit of a preview on what sort of skills we can expect, but I appreciate there just might not be in a good state for the demo. That's fine. That'd be something to consider in a later demo or some sort of teaser. Okay, got our map. Can't seem to click much on it right now. Oh, okay, it just took some time to like fade out. So, I'm gonna go to my crafting sword. My inventory, equip it. Okay, wait a second. Okay, that's also a tab being the way to exit combat. That seems a bit weird. I feel like if right click is to switch, then right click should be to switch back out, and it should be left click to attack. It is not intuitive that I would keep right clicking to do the attack. I would expect that to just be like my get ready button, given left click is very much the default attack button in most other games. Some gold. Can't block. Oh yeah, I did get them. I can move their corpse. Like, I feel like those cracks are of interest, but it doesn't seem to be flagging anything, so I will assume not. craft anything else right now? No. Well, I'll make an arrow, I guess, just to clear up some inventory. Okay, what would be interesting here? I guess the eye? I'll find more over there. I guess I'd like it to be a little bit more clear if I've expired all the knowledge from something, especially since there's a lot of trying and then there's a bit of a delay, so like, oh, I might think there could be something in the ear. I click it, and then there's like 2 or 3 seconds before I can get back into the menu. Sometimes it's very quick. I feel like it shouldn't close this screen at all unless you find something, or you've tried a few spots and it's like, oh, I guess there's nothing here, and that's like there isn't any knowledge to be found. Because I don't mind having to try a few, you know, like, ooh, it could be here, it could be this, but I don't want to feel like my time is being wasted by the UI itself, because I don't want to have to backtrack constantly between all these knowledge points, if the game's not going to tell me like, oh, you know, I don't need to come back here. Okay, so if like small objects, they just kind of get hoovered up by you crouching near them. Well, I want to see what happens if I die. Okay, just loads me back. Fair enough. No, nothing too ceremonial about that. Just goes to the load screen. Alright, enemy of the bow was pretty annoying because they had the high ground. There's definitely an element of you need to be pretty quick with your thinking while on these walls, just because they drain stamina the whole time. Okay, that sword is better. The shoes are the same. Let me just put some of these away. Ride the horse. Okay, so I guess I take it that would kind of lead us on further inland, but it is marked off as the end of the demo area. But I know there's the cave we can go into, so. Okay, but that makes sense. And it seems like it's not. Oh no, that was a big enough fall. I was gonna say it's not too punishing, but there is a limit to how far you can just jump. Okay, so there's a bit of a visual hint of how these things should be ordered. And then the only time that it gets ambiguous if there's sections that both have matching connectors, so then you can double check. So like I know this paragraph 2 and this is paragraph, so I'm comparing those two. Okay, and yeah. So that's then where you make use of context. So this paragraph is talking about the sea people. They had won a lot of battles, but now they were putting down their weapons to settle. And then it says, but Horton, chief, would not surrender his hatred. So that makes sense based on what that paragraph was talking about. And yeah, and then from here, the chief is sending his child out to find Quilgar, and then it makes sense that it would follow up talking about this Quilgar caves. And so that makes sense. Submit the page. Oh, and we get a nice little art that matches it. That's pretty nice. And it's very nice looking art. I think that's a nice reward amongst the story bits and the XP. That seems all good. Level up again. Kind of just strength dumping for the demo because I haven't encountered any magic yet, and health is just going to help me dealing with getting used to controls, makes it more comfortable. Oh. There is so many of these. What has happened? What was that? Why was there suddenly so many enemies? Okay, I guess no, actually, I'm gonna go back to the same spot and do that again. Where did they all come from? Save the game down here, and yeah, no, that was very unexpected what just happened. So let me stand up here again. And do my knowledge page. Is that just completing the page that just summons all these enemies? Let me do it over here then. Okay, yeah, just completing that page is like, here's a billion enemies. This didn't summon as many over here. There was no archers. Like, is the idea I'm expected to have solved it while near the camp? Oh. Okay. Well, that makes sense by what it just told me. So I was supposed to get ambushed at the camp after doing the knowledge, but I had already wandered off a bit, and then by doing my knowledge while on halfway up the cliff, I put myself in a really awkward position. I think if you want to have that trigger, then there should be a bit more heavy-handed keeping the player up there so that they can't summon them in either a position that's really horrific or one that's like much easier than you intended. Maybe I could have used the cave to my advantage somehow. But yeah, in that case, that was just a little confusing based on the sheer number that appeared. Maybe swap some things around. Well, I actually want to test dying while climbing, but I'm gonna test it once I save. I do not want to fiddle with my inventory again. Let's save again. Let me try and die while climbing. Let's see what happens. Now this thing blasts you with 5 damage and it shoots pretty fast. Okay, dying while climbing seems to be fine. It'd be nice if there was a way to consume while transferring items. The fact I need to keep switching to my hero page to drink when I'm just trying to make space for what I'm actively looting. I think that could be improved. Trying to melee these things is a terrible idea. I'm just gonna load back in. Trousers. Okay, that seems to be the boss. Rather the guardian. So guardians are kind of like rare monsters that right now I'm not supposed to be able to fight. A little orb. It does seem like he does not take damage at all. Okay, limited range on the magic. Oh. Okay, we do in fact one shot. So I just know there's a loop there, but can I force myself past the guard? Those jumps, just die again. Try to roll past him, I guess. Okay, cannot go in the water. It seems like you can't stand on that ledge, so I assume they just do not let you climb up there at all. Which makes sense. I think then I have interacted with everything I can. I don't think I've missed any of the knowledge. Oh. Okay, I am completely stuck here. I'm actually unable to move. I'm not 100% sure what just caused that. Okay, well, it looks like then I'm going to end on a little bug. I think there's good potential here. I think the art is pretty without obfuscating too much. I feel like the inspect sections need a little more guidance, so that it feels less like, oh, these ideas I had didn't work, I guess I'll just sit here trying everything, because that seems against the spirit of the minigame, and that's not really fun. I like that there is some reward for exploring, whether it's the knowledge or the items. There's definitely potential for the items to get a bit more interesting. Right now they were just the basic strength, agility, and magic, but hopefully later in the game there would be some more interesting modifiers or interactions with specific magic, or like ones that change your dodge or your parry, things like that. The end of the demo ambush, assuming that might be a part in the full game, should be a bit more restrictive with where it can be triggered, because by letting the players run off and do the knowledge when they want, when it's their very first time, you can get very unexpected amounts of enemies. Like, in the end, I had no archers, but every other time I had like 4 archers shooting me when I was on the cliff. So it's very inconsistent player experience. I like the concept of guardians, as like, oh, keep note, I might want to come back into this cave at some point, to deal with him later on. And just consistencies need to be sorted out with the order of combat, or melee, combat, and ranged, and the control scheme. Right click shouldn't be the attack, in my opinion. I feel like right click should be switch in and out of combat, and then left click to attack, because left click is your primary button when inspecting, but then it switches to right click in combat. I don't think the primary button needs to change just because the mode is different. The controls should be fairly continuous regardless of which mode you are in. And yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be excited to see what other chapters of the manuscript we would get to complete in the main game.